Republican, you know, or you're Democrat, doesn't matter. You know, Bill Clinton, I think, was in office when that was made, but those are civil rights. Civil rights, your fundamental liberties don't depend on if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you know, or you don't vote. You still have them. People to say they're conservative or constitutionalist, to allow these agencies to do this. Clarence Garrettson, for crying out loud. Your Attorney General, again, your conservative family values Attorney General, went to federal court and got that thrown out. You've got caseworkers raping, and you got a foster parent adopting and raping kids, and he admitted to 9 of them. They put 35 kids through his house in Fort Smith. Okay? He's in federal prison now, right? But those kids came forward and said, look, we told the caseworkers and we told the police this was happening to us, and what did they do? They called them liars. Right? That's the kind of stuff that you don't defend. That's the kind of stuff you don't apply. Okay? But that's what's happening. So, again, Connie's right. Yeah. The legislative branch and the executive branch and the judicial branch is going to have to come together. But the first thing they're going to have to do is admit liability. Okay? The executives are going to have to admit, yeah, we did it. Okay? We're going to have to admit as a judicial branch that we haven't provided counsel for the parents to stop it. Okay? The legislature is going to have to admit that it's intentional. That's why they only gave him $2.5 million and we gave the other guys $29.5 million. Okay? You can't do that and tell me you didn't know that it was what the outcome was going to be. You can't. So first they got to accept some responsibility. They're not, I don't know if they're going to do it, but if we win some lawsuits, we will. But, you know, I'm 4 years out on the Stanley case, and I'm elated that I get to start discovery the other day after 23 months.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I'm going to be practicing law in 4 years.
Yes.
You know? Well, you know, I mean, it took me 10 years as a lawyer to figure out this is why. Shoot. You know? If I could take like a month off and go play in a band or something, you know, clear my head, that would be good. But it's frustrating and it's hard, and this kind of stuff stops me from working. I just, you know, like right now, I might have something brilliant to say, well, then I get emotional and I get angry, and so it has to stop for me.
The emotion's good.
Huh?
The emotion's good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's real.
The one that's right under the surface is rage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't do you any good in our profession.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm rude, I turn people off. But I can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, don't drag me down in the sewer and roll my client around in it, and then want to get out and shake my hand and you know, I'm supposed to act like a gentleman.
Nice.
You know, don't do that. It's not going to happen. I don't have that in me. But I'm so thankful you came, all the way from the other side of freaking Tennessee. Connie told us a story last night at dinner. Even though she's still working on legislation, I get angry and I just have to start doing it. You can't make time, you have to steal it from somewhere else. Okay? I only learned that last year. I still thought I was making time. But she got laws passed. She filed a writ, didn't you? She wanted a judge to tell the governor what to do because he had a duty. She found a committee that had never been formed. We never found that here, did we, Senator Clay? Right. They have good intentions and they create these things, but then they don't follow through with them. So she asked this judge, Governor Hassel, put this committee together. It's been for 8 years, they haven't done it. And the judge, what does he do? No, I'm not going to tell the governor what to do, right? By that time, it had gotten to the legislative branch, and what did they do? They repealed the law.
Within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks.
After it'd been on the books for 15 years.
Yeah. You know, so that's the branches working against the people behind the scenes, and that shouldn't happen. But it does. So I've got more respect for Connie than anybody in this field because she does everything and she keeps doing it. And I'm going to try to keep doing it, but we've got to have some help. And I don't know what it's going to take to motivate that, I really don't.
Well, I'm going to say, I'm just going to step up and talk with you for a minute. So I'm going to say one of the things that I want to do, I think it's out there, is to, and Sean is, we're under his umbrella here, like we're like watching what he's doing like crazy. If we can get a few good hits, that maybe at some point, there are huge law firms that have sections of their law firm. There's huge law firms in New York, in Miami, in LA that will take a cause, okay? It doesn't come easy, but if you can get that out there, and I'll just give you a little tiny example, and I'm a long ways from a victory in it. But you know, he's talking about being on the Stanley case for 4 years. I also started a civil rights suit in 2014 for a young man who'd been sexually assaulted in a juvenile detention center by an employee. They did everything. They hid evidence from me. They tried to get it dismissed. They made me turn somersaults backwards, down the hallway, But ultimately, and it got dismissed in summary judgment, and I'm going to the Sixth Circuit Court. And then I get an email one day from a firm in Chicago that does civil rights. And part of the issue in this case was solitary confinement. The kid had been put in solitary confinement. And I got an amicus brief. I got an amicus brief from an organization they were representing psychologists and psychiatrists who understood that putting a child in solitary confinement when they're 14 years old, 23 hours a day, is permanently psychologically damaging. Okay? So they wrote this whole brief to the court about how horrible that was. Now, I'm thinking somewhere we're going to get some help. I don't know, maybe I'm eternally optimistic. Another issue that I've looked at is the key tam. A key tam is a whistleblower action. There are private contractors that are gouging the system. I follow some of them in Florida. I've got a researcher in Florida that's pulling up all kinds of information for me.
Nonprofits.
Yeah, right.
And didn't mean to butt in, but we've got legislators going to prison right here in this state for funneling money or funneling contracts or favoring these executives and these nonprofits, and they're stealing the money and giving the kickbacks to the legislators.
Exactly. So whistleblower key tam actions. There was a big one that came out of Florida. It doesn't have anything to do with child welfare, but it had to do with Medicaid fraud, and where they got doctors, if their patient came into the emergency room, they would get the doctor to order that the patient be admitted, whether it was a broken arm or whatever. They'd get 3 days of hospital stays under Medicaid, and it was a huge Medicaid fraud. That's happening with these children being stuck in foster care.
This young lady right